at the bottom.
Cool. I know, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
I never get a chance to change things because we keep extending the restricted movement order.
I get it. Wait, let me share this.
Yeah. Okay, so we are live on a few different channels. So I guess
where are we? Which channel?
So the main one is going to be the personal finance investing group.
Mm-hmm.
And we have 3 more towards Reggie's Facebook page, my Facebook page, and my YouTube channel.
Mm.
So once I actually have more access to like different Facebook groups, we can actually start adding more.
All right.
Yeah, but I think the thing I'm still struggling with is figuring out how do you say this? Share this faster to different Facebook groups. Right. So like, for example, the entrepreneurship group should technically have it as well. Startups should have it. Reggie, are you taking care of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm doing
cool.
that.
So while you do that, I just want to make sure everything else is working. I see numbers scoring, so things are moving on that side. So for those who are watching, welcome again for day 8. Is it day 8 now? Day 8, yes, of the restricted movement order, where we also found out today that we are going to be extending it for another 2 weeks. So, we're like 1/3 of the way there and not really almost done. But anyway, regardless, because of that, like I said, like I initially talked about, we plan on going live every single day during the restricted movement order, just to give you guys something to do and hopefully learn along the way. And today we have we're lucky to have Marshall, who's joining us. So Marshall, thank you very much for taking some time.
Yeah, no problem.
And if you don't mind, just kind of introducing yourself, your title, and what you're currently doing. Go for it.
So this is Marshall, and I'm a licensed financial planner, licensed by Securities Commission and Bank Negara. So what do? I plan people's finances. So clients look for me to handle their finances. So what is a financial planner? Is actually what we do is actually helping people to achieve their life goals and any objective that they have, be it short term or long term.
Nice. And if you don't mind, actually, before, let's take care of some housekeeping things. So Marshall is licensed, so there is that piece of it. But this conversation here is not meant to be any sort of one-on-one advice, right? This is more overall general conversation. So please keep that in mind. And if you guys do have any questions, feel free to leave a comment anywhere you are watching this. If you have access to the personal finance and investing Facebook group in Malaysia, please leave a comment from there, because then we can actually pull it up on this side and share it with everyone to see and actually have a conversation around it. Otherwise, there might be that risk of we might miss your question if it's coming from somewhere else. All right, cool. So Marshall, first thing about this, we had a brief conversation about all the different types of titles that are out there. Can you kind of help us understand, the complexity of the finance industry here in Malaysia when it comes to all these different titles?
So financial planning is actually a regulated activity. So not anyone without a license from Securities Commission can do a financial plan for their clients. It's actually illegal to do that. So to be a financial planner, you need to get license from Securities Commission. But there are also other titles, for example, financial advisors. You have heard of people calling themselves financial advisors, financial planners, financial consultants. What else? Life planners, wealth planners. There are so many types of titles. It's actually very, very confusing. But if you really want to, as a consumer, if you really want to look for financial advice, I would advise you that you look for a financial planner that is licensed by Securities Commission Malaysia. So because they are the only one that can provide legal financial advice. Why do we need to look for someone that's licensed? It's because we have a lot of rules and regulations to follow, and we cannot recommend any products or any solutions that are not approved by the government or the Securities Commission, especially when you talk about investments return. You may earn some money. There are some people that can actually earn some money through that, but it's that there are risks when it.
Securities Commission Malaysia, right?
Yep.
So where do the people go to then double confirm that these people are actually licensed? Is there like a platform for them to search the identity of the person they're talking to?
Yes, there is. So sorry, I didn't, because the address is actually kind of long. I don't know how do you want to share this to your audience. Wait, let me get a bit.ly link. I think I can get it very soon. Okay, I'll send it to you all later. There will be a link that you can actually look for licensed financial planners. And
actually just send the link in the private chat here, and then I can just do a little screen share so that people can also kind of have an idea as to how it looks and how to navigate it.
All right, I just put it into a bit.ly link.
Perfect.
So maybe you can share it because the full link is actually kind of long.
Cool.
So if you don't mind, like if we can actually walk through this so that people understand how to actually navigate this website. So
do you want to share the link?
We are here.
Share the screen. All right, give me a second. Let me enlarge this.
Wow, they literally have like a whole database here.
Yeah, okay. So first things first, you need to look at the top 3 tabs. So you on the highest part where you see representatives, companies, and individuals. All right. So representatives are actually human beings, and actually it's kind of overlap with individuals because right now they don't issue individual license anymore. Every single financial planner has to be attached with a company. So we leave the individual out. We look at representatives and companies only. All right. So companies are actually companies that are financial planning firms. So you go to companies first. Okay, so this license, there are a lot of types of license. So if you choose the drop down from the regulated activity.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't see the drop down. Nope, I don't see the drop down.
Okay, so I do have it open, but do you have an idea as to which one you're looking at? Fund management, for example?
All right, okay, so there are different types of categories whereby you need to, these are all regulated activities by Securities Commission. So no one can call themselves a fund manager unless they're licensed. No one can call themselves a financial planner unless they're licensed, or anyone that's dealing with derivatives. So if you choose the drop down, if you choose financial planning, do you see financial planning?
Yep. Yeah. Last one here. Okay.
Okay. So you click on search. All right. So these are actually licensed financial planning firms or financial planning firms that are licensed by Securities Commission. Of course, you look at the status, you need to look for the valid ones. Okay, so these are the firms that are actually licensed by Securities Commission to provide financial planning services. Okay, so not every company can call themselves a financial planning firm. I know that there are some companies providing financial planning services, but they are actually not licensed. So if you want to be safe, you can actually come to this website and find the company that you want to go to. So I would advise you to go through a few companies and have a look and feel what's their culture like. Because every financial planner or financial planning is, how I see it is actually like an art. So no two financial planners have the exact same plan for a person, because a financial planner may be a more aggressive or less aggressive. So a more aggressive financial planner will give a different type of plan for a client, or they may somehow they may convince their client to go using their own method, or maybe it may be a little bit too aggressive for the client. So if you are a client, maybe you want to go through a few financial planners first before you make your decision on who do you want to go to, because not all financial planners are the same. So it's just like how you look for a designer. Not every designer will provide you a same picture.
That's cool. So I think quite clear what is valid, right? But what is the difference between closed and expired?
Actually, I don't know.
The status. Yeah.
Frankly speaking, I have no idea. I know.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just curious. Is it because like expired means they don't renew, and then closed means their license got revoked or something? I'm not too sure.
I'm not too sure myself. That's a very good question and a very good observation.
Cool. Yes. Yeah.
So these are companies. So
Okay.
you can also go to the the representatives part. Yes.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. So, I have a question before we go to the individual part. So are there people that are so if they're attached to a certain company, then their license is the company's license, right? So representatives are not part of a company. Is that kind of how it works?
Representatives are not part of a company. What do you mean?
That means the representatives' license are individual to them, and then there are other people that are part of the company that is just using the company's license.
No, you must be licensed. So that's why I need you to go to the representatives part so that
Okay.
so that everyone, you see, if you go representative, do the same thing, go to regulated activities and choose financial planning and search. All right, so before you scroll down, looking at the search result, you can see that there are only 1,602 matches. And out of these 1,602 matches, there's quite a number of them are actually not valid. So contrary to popular belief, a lot of people think that financial planners are everywhere. Actually, financial planners is actually there are very little financial planners as compared to other professions. For example, you have doctors, I think around 60K in Malaysia. Lawyers, you have around 40K, 40 to 50K. But financial planners, it's less than 10K or probably just 1K only.
Oh, okay. Then who are all these people selling insurance then?
Insurance, the people that sells insurance are called insurance agents. Let's say if they are not financial planners. So they are either individual agents, tied-up agents, or brokers, insurance brokers. But they are actually not financial planners. Financial planners there are actually not many of us in the market.
Okay, so they need to take an exam. They need to be regulated in that sense.
Correct.
Okay, that's cool. Do you find it a challenge telling people the difference between an insurance agent and a financial planner, and then how do you stand out, amidst all these?
Yes, it has always been a challenge. Imagine that there are only 1,000 people sharing content, whereas there are 80,000 insurance agents or 50,000 unit trust consultants. Our voice is actually very, very soft as compared to them. So there are a lot of people that the chances of them meeting an insurance agent or a unit trust consultant is actually higher than meeting a financial planner. It's all relatives. So it's becoming a bit. It has always been very hard to explain to people the difference between what is a real financial planner because they themselves call themselves financial planners. So it's actually very, very messy right now.
Yeah.
And to make matters worse, there's also another category or another title called the financial advisor. So this is another thing that's very complicated in Malaysia. This won't happen in Singapore because a lot of things are regulated only under MAS. But in Malaysia, we have Securities Commission and we have Bank Negara. So these are two regulators. And Securities Commission regulates the financial planning part and investment part, whereas Bank Negara regulates, for financial planners perspective, the insurance part, general insurance and life insurance. So financial advisors are actually not a human being. They are actually companies. No one that, under the Financial Services Act, no one can call themselves a financial advisor besides a company. So company is actually, there may be some overlap with just now the company you saw. This is actually a website from Securities Commission. Bank Negara, you have another website to find who is the real financial advisor or financial advisors representatives. So it's actually quite messy right now and very confusing for consumers. I can understand why, but that's how it goes.
Yeah, that sounds chaotic.
Sounds crazy, but yes.
Yeah,
okay,
and then
Yeah, so one of the things that you mentioned earlier was you should, like, even when you do find a financial advisor, some of them, you still have to kind of find the one that you feel like you can connect with, right? Are there a set of questions that people should be aware of, or they should be asking before, to help them on that journey?
Yeah, I think it's actually quite easy to find out what questions to ask a financial planner. It's you just Google what questions to ask a financial planner. There's a lot of articles about that. I believe that. But the questions that I have on top of my head will be very likely the first question you must ask a financial planner is, how long has he or she been in this industry? Second question is, what is your own personal experience handling finances? Third is, let me think what other questions that my clients ask. Third is actually, I can't think of it. This is just on top of my head because these are questions that clients ask me and not I ask clients.
Yeah, so pretty much if they do a Google, I guess that's a pretty good idea, a good place to start, right?
Yeah, sorry, just forgot the important one that just slipped out. What is your niche? What is your niche? Because every financial planners have their own niche. There are certain strengths. Not every financial planners are the same, are built equally. Some come from different background. I myself, I come from a finance and accounting background. Some financial planners come from an investment background. Some financial planners come from an insurance background. So you really have to understand what's their strength, what's your niche, and what kind of clients do they usually advise? Business owners or young adults? They are very, very different portfolios that you need to they need to look at.
Okay, nice.
Cool. So what kind of clients do you usually work with then?
I usually work with young adults.
Okay.
So people around 25 to 35, or sometimes until 40. Yes.
Okay. So what are some of the common challenges that this demographic face?
Okay, for people around 25, around the age of 25 to 30, I see that a lot of clients are actually holding a lot of money, not investing. So a lot of cash, their income. It's not to say that they don't have money. They have a lot of money. It's just that their money is put into a non-income or non-interest generating asset. For example, your bank account or cash account, current account. So these are some challenges that they face because they do not know where to start or how to start or what they want to do with their money. So what they do is only whenever the employee pays them the money, and then they just leave it in that account and not doing anything without it. But you and I know that there's this thing called the opportunity cost, or we call time value of money. Your money will actually shrink, even though it's not shrinking in terms of number, but the value of that money is actually shrinking because of inflation. So even though clients may not think that they are in a bad situation, but from my point of view, their money is actually shrinking, and it's actually quite bad. You can actually generate more money using that pile of money instead of piling up that sum of money.
Cool.
And people around 30 to 35 is very likely cash flow because they will start to have family, children, and how do you manage your cash flow? Because when you're single, your expenses will go up as per your income. So every year you get your promotion, you get your appraisal, you get your increment. Your expenses will inflate as well. Your lifestyle, there's an inflation of lifestyle. So once you have a family, and maybe let's say if your spouse is not working, then it may be a bit tight on your cash flow. So this is where you need to talk about cash flow management, and also risk management. Insurance comes into the picture because this group of people is very, they are actually the breadwinner of the company, the breadwinner of the family, and insurance is actually very important at this stage. And also once you have children, you need to think about estate planning as well. So these are the parts. These are the two groups of people that I usually work with.
Cool, thanks. I have another question. In Singapore, CPF is a big thing, right?
Yeah.
And then there's EPF here. How do people actually care about it? Because I don't really hear anyone talk about EPF.
What do you mean? I think everyone cares about it.
No, do you guys help them to do anything? Is there anything in particular that the financial planner can work with the EPF of the individual to then benefit them? Because in Singapore, people contribute a lot to the CPF, right? And then the financial planners always work with the CPF.
Actually, financial planners in Malaysia also work with EPF, in a way that people can actually withdraw their money from their EPF to put into unit trust. So this is a point where you can actually diversify your retirement, but don't do it. There's EPF actually have a very good structure to it, whereby you cannot use all of your EPF to invest into unit trust because it may be risky as well. So they only allow a certain portion of your EPF to invest into unit trust. Since I can't remember the actual date, I think mid of last year, before mid of last year, if you want to invest into using your EPF money to invest into unit trust, there will be a fixed cost or fixed entry cost to it. I think it should be around 3%, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, there is a fixed entry. 5%. So depending on the fund houses. So there is a fixed cost to it. But since June or July last year, or somewhere last year, you can actually invest your EPF money directly online without going through any agent. So this is called iInvest or something. I think it should be called. It is iInvest. So you can actually invest your EPF money into into unit trust to diversify your retirement income, your retirement fund, without any charges or very minimal charges.
Cool. Thanks for sharing.
Nice. So I guess kind of coming back to the whole one of the questions that you mentioned earlier of how do you actually vet your financial planner, was the whole conversation around what are you doing to manage your own finances, right? So for you then, what are you personally doing to manage your finances right now, especially during this restricted movement period?
I just wrote a little bit about what's happening right now. How I feel is this is actually going to be a new normal, whereby people will stay at home very often, even if the MCO have been lifted. I think people are actually going to stay at home more often than usual, and this is going to be a new normal. And many companies actually have to adapt with that. And let's say if there are smaller companies, small SMEs, smaller enterprises, or retail companies, brick and mortar companies that can't adapt to this, their revenue, the recovery of their revenue is going to be very, very tough. And having the government actually instructing companies to continue paying their employees, this will put even more strain to these businesses. So some business may eventually close down, and people may lose their job. So during this period, I think it's a very good time to look at your expenses. Don't really. I know that the new iPad is quite interesting, but don't spend too much on things that you do not really need or is non-essential stuff. So right now, I think it's more of saving whatever you can, just in case. And how long do you want to save? Usually, I will tell my clients 3 to 6 months is good enough. But right now, you have to extend that emergency fund or increase that emergency fund so that you can sustain for a longer period. Because from what I heard, or from our conversation with Daniel that day, was that vaccine can only be, we can only get a vaccine maybe earliest by Q1 next year. So let's say if we keep on have this quarantine for the next few months, it's actually quite scary. So be prepared with that. Be prepared with your emergency fund, and I think that's what I will be doing. Okay,
so you're just kind of trying to keep your expenses as minimal as possible, not doing anything. And you're not reacting to like the way the markets are going or anything like that, right? Yeah, and I think that's actually really important for a lot of people to understand is to always remember that like life will you still need to make sure ends are being met. So to all of a sudden put all this money that you might think that of like, I'm gonna be okay and like this whole thing's gonna be over in 3 months, so I'm just gonna have money for 3 months. It's not always the best idea. Yeah. Okay. And sorry, so Marshall, you just need to fix something there, right?
Yep. Okay. Let me see if my iPad works. Let me
no problem.
So then what are you currently doing to manage your finances during this RMO?
Yeah, so I definitely I'm lucky in the sense of my company is completely digital, and so everything we sell is digital. We're still able to move. We're still able to move on with day-to-day operations, right? So from a business perspective, of course, we're being more careful, but that's really about it. I'm still getting a daily or week or monthly paycheck, and I guess staying at home, like my expenses have actually dropped because I can't just go out and eat at like fancy restaurants or anything anymore. And yeah, so I'm just kind of from the expense perspective, I know it's dropped significantly. And then now it's a question of, for me, is I've also sold my house back in January. And so I'm also now taking that money to slowly invest into the market. But this is also money I know I don't actually need to survive for any period of time.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
Yourself?
cool.
What are you doing here?
Similar, man. It's just expenses just come down because you don't get to go out. It's like going out is quite a challenge, right? Like I tried to go out and buy some bread, and it was like, ooh, this is a challenge, man. I gotta, walk the extra mile and do everything, and then the train only opens at a certain time. So yeah, so expenses are down. Rent is manageable. I think my income is also digital, so I think that helps.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, there's a reason why we are doing this. So yeah. It kind of helps so far. It's just socially, it's quite challenging,
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's like, damn, what's happening, So trying to connect more digitally, I think that will help. And Marshall is back. Yes.
All good there?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Yep.
Yes.
Everything's good there. So Marshall, just kind of going back to your, I guess, and being an independent financial planner, what is the value of someone for going through something like that? Because I guess this is the only thing where they're really paying for upfront. Whereas for when they work with other types of people, they might be paying in different ways. So if you can kind of elaborate on that and help people understand what the differences are, and not saying one's right or one's wrong, but what the value is for paying explicitly for support.
Right now, there are not many options besides investment you can actually do DIY. So actually, I also, let's say if you are really well versed in finance, I would actually encourage you to DIY your finance. You actually don't really need a financial planner, because a financial planner is for people that do not know where to start or where do they want to go to. I have stories from clients that because from my experiences, I can share my other client's story, of course, leaving personal data or personal information out, to a new client to give them a direction or to give them a purpose. Because a lot of people earn money, but to me, money is just a tool to exchange for something else that you want in life. It's not the end game. Money is never the end game. It's always to exchange for something else. So if you really know that what do you want in life, and you know what to do, and you know which financial vehicle to go through, by all means, just DIY. Frankly speaking, as a financial planner, I actually encourage you to DIY because you know yourself best. But the thing is, most people do not know what they want, or they do not know how to calculate how to go there. Imagine you want to go, you know that you want to go Singapore, but when you drive your car, you only drive south, but without any GPS or without any map with you, you're just driving south without knowing whether is this the correct way or not. Think about it. When was the last time we drive to a new location without relying on a GPS? I think for people right now, it's actually quite rare you rely on road signs, right? Because there may be road signs around. There may be a lot of information on the internet, but whether is the information from the internet applicable to your life or not? Because as a blogger myself, I write articles. But these articles are not specific, are not written for just one person. It's written for because bloggers, we want traffic, right? We want to reach out to as many people as possible. So this advice that I write on my blog may not be suitable for you, even though it may be suitable for everyone. So going back to the GPS analogy, without, let's say if you already know the road, how to go to Singapore, you just go up to the highway and go drive straight all the way to the end until you reach JB and Woodlands, then that's about it. If you know the way, then it's great. But a lot of people do not know that finance is actually a whole new game. It's not just driving only. There are so many financial vehicles out there. Investment, there are so many asset classes. Even insurance, there are many types of insurance. Many people did not know the difference between a general insurance medical card and a life insurance medical card. It's actually very, very complicated. So let's say if you do not know how to use these vehicles out there, then you engage a financial planner. If not, by all means, DIY all the way.
Fair. That's cool.
Okay, so if someone, I guess, is brand new and they don't know where to start, so they are looking at engaging with a financial planner, right? Because I know you charge like a fee up front type of thing, right? What's the fee like, and what type of services or value can that person expect out of it?
It depends on what services that you need. For example, let's say if you are very well versed with investments, you're already expert in doing your investments, then you only want to engage me in a certain area of advice, for example, insurance.
Yeah.
So a lot of people give free policy review, but to me, I actually charge, my fee is right now is actually $350 for a policy review, for a review for you and your family lah. So what I will do is actually I will go through all of your policies and go through all of your needs to see whether does your policy gives you a sufficient cover. So that is my fee. So these are what we call it the modular planning. So we only plan for certain modules. For this is actually insurance, that's my fee. For investment, let's say if you want to start on investment planning only, then my fee is actually $550 just for planning only.
Okay.
But of course, we also have another types of planning, which is what we call the comprehensive planning. Comprehensive planning means that I cover every single aspect of your personal finance. All right. So this includes every from the daily cash flow to budgeting to insurance to investment, everything. So this one starts from 2,500. That's my fee right now, all the way to 10,000. That one will be depending on your asset. How complicated is your asset?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Is there like a market benchmark? Is there like a general rate? What's going on? And do everyone charge this kind of rates, or how does it work?
Frankly speaking, there isn't a fixed rate right now. Even if there is, it varies widely, because it really depends on your seniority also. Let's say if you look for a very senior financial planner, of course their rate won't start at 2,500. Their rate may start at 5,000. But of course their clientele would be totally different. They won't look for fresh grads anymore. They won't look for maybe young adults anymore. They will look for business owners where they have even more complicated stuff. For example, they have offshore investments. They have other types of investments, vehicle, or probably even setting up a family office. That's another ball game already. So that's actually not my forte, frankly speaking. My forte is still people within the age of 25 to 35.
Okay. And so let's say during this process of that when someone engages you and you notice that there are gaps with insurance, for example. When you point out these gaps and you point out potential solutions, do these, like, I guess I'm trying to get at is like, do you also get a cut from all the premiums? Because that's usually how your typical agent will be making their money, right?
Yes. Okay, very good question. actually depends on the products as well. So being a fee-based planner, I don't really rely on commission-based products anymore. So sometimes I will advise my clients to go for a direct insurance, right? Meaning that you can actually buy an insurance directly online without going through myself. Because certain insurance are actually quite straightforward. You don't really need a lot of servicing. For example, life insurance. Life insurance covers death and TPD. So how often can you die, or how often can you TPD? It's only once a lifetime, right? So you don't really need a lot of servicing. So this type of products, actually, I can ask my clients to just get it online. However, products like a medical card, whereby you need constant servicing. For example, a medical card is actually, the chances of you claiming a medical card is actually very high, and that's where I will take the commission as well, because I think it is fair for me to service you, unless you can look for your own insurance agent. But let's say if you want me to service you, I think it's fair for me to take the commission as well, because that's where my service comes from.
Okay, perfect. Reggie, do you have anything there, or?
No, I'm just trying to understand. So it's essentially, planners are mostly fee-based, or is everyone like different?
Okay. Yes, everyone. Frankly speaking, there are three main types of financial planners that I know of. Okay. So the first type is, let's start with my type, fee-based. Fee-based means that I collect a fee, but I also will take the commission if, let's say, if there is any servicing involved. Okay. There's also another type called the commission-based, whereby they don't charge a fee. They function just like an agent, but with more products. And there's also another category called the fee-only, whereby they will only charge a fee, usually higher, and they don't take any commission. Usually they work with other insurance agents or planners and refer it to them.
That's cool, because there's like a whole discussion going on in Singapore these days between like, should people just work with the commission people, or should people just work with the fee people? Because
what's your preference? Let me ask you.
I don't know. That's the thing, right? So I think that the discussion is always, if people are selling based on commission, then it's a lot of question between like, are they going to be biased in terms of what they sell in terms of commission, right? And then if people are so that is the negative part, right? So and then the other side of the discussion, which is for fee-based people, then maybe because they are fee-based, so they will just rush through everything that they do for you, right? So that is also the negative part of the other side. I think that is the kind of general discussion for.
I think it comes back to the feeling you're feeling with that financial planner. Whether are you in line with their belief or not? You have to really talk to the financial planner. Just have a chat with them. Usually financial planners, we have, at least for my business model, I have a free discovery call. So in this free discovery call is whereby it's actually an opportunity for the client and also for the planner to understand each other. Because sometimes there are certain clients that may not suit my profile. They may want to look for a very, very short-term gain. And I can't do that. Frankly speaking, I can't do that. So I have to tell them that I can't serve your needs, and you have to look for other planners. So I think it's still very important to understand that planner. Take the opportunity to know your planner as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So I personally prefer like fee only, and like this is something I was like constantly looking for in Canada. It's still also not very. I mean, there's more regulations there, so that like someone who is fee only are the only people who can use certain terms.
The regulations in Malaysia, fee only or fee based, is the same.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and the reason I like fee only is because, well, I guess ultimately what I'm looking for are people who are not just looking to go through the day-to-day conversation, asking the exact same questions every single time. I'm looking for people who are more creative in terms of finding solutions, right? Or look constantly engaged in the market themselves, or the market of like all the different products and services so that they and understanding what each and every single one does, because that's ultimately what I'm looking for, right? I'm looking for someone who can kind of join my team and support me in improving my financial situation, right? And I'm more than happy to pay them for that service. And if there were any like kickbacks from those companies, then I expect some sort of disclaimer, and I also expect it's essentially to have that money come to me, right? Because
Yep.
I know like from that perspective, they're not suggesting one product over another because there might be a kickback in the back that I'm not aware of.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair.
Cool. So, kind of coming back to the whole restricted movement order, and I made that initial joke of we were supposed to be halfway done, but now we're not. What are the implications of this extended restricted movement order for the everyday person, or from businesses?
For now, I think it's actually I think let's start with businesses. I think I mentioned this. Did I mention this on live, or I can't remember when I mentioned this. But anyway, for the extended RCO restriction movement order, a lot of companies are actually going to face problems with their revenue. Brick and mortar companies, they are going to face problems with their revenue, and yet they are still forced to pay their employees the salary. So what will happen is these companies will eventually die. I hope not, but let's face it, some companies do not have emergency fund. They may actually close down because there are a lot of contractual obligations that they need to fulfill, rent, salary, or other contracts, right? So these companies will actually, even if they pay their employees for this month, they may not be able to pay their employees next month, and they may go bankrupt or lay off their employees. And what will happen to these employees if they do not know the seriousness of this situation right now? They may be caught off guard. And they still have families to feed. They need to put the food on the table. So what will happen next if, let's say, if they got laid off, no one is hiring, they still need to put food on the table? I'm afraid that it will cause some social problems later on. So that's actually a very, very serious thing that we are actually looking into. When I say we, it's actually the Financial Planning Association of Malaysia. So right now we are actually looking at this issue right now before the RCO ends, so that we want to reach out to as many people as possible to encourage them to treat this seriously and start cutting on your expenses. Stop shopping at home. If you're at home, I think it's very boring. You may use, actually our former Prime Minister Najib yesterday just asked, do you use Lazada or Shopee? So why did they ask that? I think it's very likely a lot of people are actually shopping at home. I don't know. I myself, I'm not shopping. I'm not doing any shopping right now. But I think that why he asked this question, it's very likely people are actually shopping. So I think this is a time where people should actually look at their finances, cut their expenses, and start building. If you still have income, great. Start working harder so that you can provide value to your employer, so that your employer don't really fire you if times are bad, and actually save up on that emergency fund. And how long do you need to save? Probably more than 6 months. I would suggest at least 9 months of emergency funds that you need. So start working on that emergency fund, and before that, find out what are your essential expenditure. Look out for what do you need to how much do you need to spend every month, only for the essentials, not the luxury stuff or non-essential things. Okay, so yeah.
So yeah, I know you're with FPAM, right? So then, are you guys trying to work with the government for some stimulus? Because all over the world, everyone is stimulusing, right? So yeah, so I'm just kind of
no, we are not working. To my knowledge, we are not working with the government. But how can we help I think a lot of people or all Malaysians have a role to play in this situation, because it's actually very turbulent. It's actually very fluid. Anything can happen anytime. Policies can change overnight. So it's actually very fluid. And we as Malaysians, we have our role to play. I think both of you guys are doing very great, very good. It's because you guys are sharing financial information. That's actually awesome. Thumbs up to you guys. And we, as financial planners, we also want to reach out to publics to provide the correct information. This is not the time where you can actually spend money on things that may not you may not need later on. So we are playing our role. We are not currently. I'm not sure whether are we the top level. Are they working with the government? I'm not very sure. But as a member of FPAM and also a community of FPAM, we are actually playing our role to reach out to as many Malaysians as possible to let them know that this extension of MCO is not a holiday. It's definitely not a holiday. You must actually work even harder than before and save even more.
Cool. Oh, personal question, a little curious. Do you guys do like research studies on like what is the average income, how much average credit card bills do people have here? Do you have that kind of data?
No, financial planners don't do research. We also rely on research companies or news articles.
Okay, that's cool. Cool,
Okay.
thanks.
And I guess that leads us to the final thing here. We know, or you were telling us about a new FPAM initiative, right? Can you tell us more about this initiative, what it's meant to do, and who's really trying to target?
Okay, we want to reach out to all Malaysians, especially people in the middle income and the lower income group, to let them know that this is actually quite a serious issue. And to do that, we will create a Facebook group and what's the difference between this Facebook group and also the current personal finance Facebook group is we want to answer questions relating to this turbulent moment only. So it won't be something like where to invest. If you have money to invest, I think you're pretty fine. But let's say people that don't have cash, what to do? Or should I restructure my loan? Should I take my EPF out? How do I manage my tax? Things like that. So of course, these questions are not exhaustive. I believe there could be more questions that I may not think of, but that's the purpose of that group, that Facebook group. So that Facebook group, we want to gather as many Malaysians as possible. We are also looking for translators and also designers to create more engaging content, volunteer designers and also find influencers as well, just like you guys, to create more content so that we can reach out to more public to help them in some way. Yeah. So I think that's about it.
Yeah, and this is still definitely early stages, but we are trying to figure out how to work closer together, and maybe have a different show per se, where we can kind of go over some of the main questions that you guys are getting, and then we can help distribute that to make sure more people are aware of your services, and if they're going through the same thing, at least know that they're not alone, right? So thank you so much for joining us today, Marshall. Anything else you would like to instill? Any wisdoms?
No, I don't. They're not saying that what I say is wisdom, but I think you guys are doing a great job. Keep doing that. Invite more people on board on the show so that more people can actually benefit from your contents. I think it's a very good thing.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
And for those who might not be, who might be just listening to this in audio or something, so the website, it's a pretty long website. And what the initial thing is pretty long, the Facebook group. So I've actually created a redirect on my website. So moremoney.my/FPAM, and that will take you automatically to the Facebook group there, where you can quickly join and make sure you invite your friends, your family, anyone who who might be struggling through this. I think, Marshall, you're also saying that it's not just going to be like you're not just going to be focused on finances in this group, right? Like you're also trying to reach out to counselors or whatever or whoever, right?
Yeah, let's say if financial problem, but we want to tie this back to finance. It's still a financial group.
Okay.
It's just that we want to work with experts as well. So it's not just me handling the group. There will be a panel of financial planners, licensed financial planners, to be on that group, so that different people will bring in different expertise to help out Malaysians. So we are just playing a very small part in this turbulent times.
Yeah, and I think, well, if all of us do a little small part here and there, we can definitely all make it through a lot better. So thank you so much, Marshall, for taking your time here. Really appreciate everything that you're doing. And for those who are watching right now, thank you so much. We will be back tomorrow, and our conversation is still not very clear. Yeah, I'm not very good at planning out the next topics. So yeah, you will find Facebook posts in the personal finance and investing in personal finance Facebook group. And you'll see exactly what we'll end up talking about tomorrow. Okay, thanks so much.
See ya.